everybody, we're going to start off this Get Ready With Me in the car, and that's only because, so I guess you get a little preview, probably not the best light in the world since it's so gray today, is initially I was going to do a quick Get Ready With Me and then give you an update on what's going on with me, why I haven't touched base with you and put anything new on my channel for quite some time now. And I was going to just sort of combine and do it all in one video. Well, you know me, when I start doing makeup, it actually ends up being more of a tutorial, and it just ended up being where I knew in and of itself that part was going to be long. It was going to be way too long for combining it with anything else. So that's what I'm here to tell you right now, is that this is going to be just your traditional Get Ready With Me, and as I put on my makeup. But if you're interested more into what has been going on with me, you will see that one after this one hits my channel. And it will be on Sunday, because I'm going to just go ahead and call that a Sunday vlog. I had to make a different opening because my other opening actually was explaining what this video was going to entail, and it isn't going to entail that. So I want to welcome you today. Thank you for clicking on that thumbnail, and let's go ahead and get started with the Get Ready With Me. Not gonna lie, this is not the morning here. It's well into the afternoon hours, and that's just when I decided to get my rear in gear. I am going to have to go to the store, yes, the actual grocery store in person today to get a few things. Luckily, it's not too far away from here. So I decided I am going to get some makeup on and some hair and look decent, make myself feel a little better. And so that's what I'm getting ready to do. Going to be doing Lancome today for both my foundation and my concealer. I love both of these. I always like to warn you guys with this, though. If you're super sensitive with smells, fragrance, this one's pretty strong. I feel like it definitely goes away because it doesn't seem to bother me later, you know. I think it goes away fairly quickly, but it is rather strong when you first start putting it on. And so that tells me there's a good amount of fragrance in here. So if you are sensitive to that, and many people are, just know that. Other than that, you guys, I really do love this foundation. Now, the concealer, no, there's nothing about it. No fragrance, nothing that really irritates me. All right, I'm going to do this real quickly here. Otherwise, I think it will take me 3 hours just to get my makeup on. In general, I try to use the least amount of foundation that I need to give me a nice sort of evening out of my skin tone and my pigmentation. I never really shoot for giving me this perfection, this sort of mask look with my foundations. So for me, I like to just sort of less is more and do my best to kind of make my skin look less mottled, take away the red a bit. I have yet to find a concealer that does as well for my mature eyes as this one here. And I have come close to a couple, but where they seem to fall short is how this one is able to do its thing, and yet it doesn't make my under eye tissue look dry, and it doesn't bring attention to the crepiness and the fine lines and such. And yet I find that it stays put, you know, it doesn't create, and I don't powder over it usually at all. So it's not so creamy that it ends up creating a mess with the makeup. I mean, the shadows and even the mascara that I apply, to where it just sort of starts coming down. I can find concealers that give me the same amount of really nice coverage and even a sort of finish that I like, but they're almost a little too creamy, and so they don't set in. I don't know how they did that with this. I really don't. I don't know what it is about this formula that actually just sets there, and yet everything else doesn't budge with it. I think you know what I mean. You know, it's like all of a sudden a couple hours later you look in the mirror in your car and it's like you're constantly going like this because everything has moved. You know, it might happen a little bit, but nothing like any other, you know, concealer that I have used. So this is such a great formula for mature eyes. It gives you coverage. It gives you a finish that's not drawing attention to crepiness and wrinkles and fine lines. And again, I try to do less is more, because I think if you go crazy with any concealer, whether it's this fabulous formulation or not, you know, you're gonna run into problems if it's on there and you've got quite a bit going on, I think. So try to get away with the least amount that you possibly can. I always kind of center mine right in here because this is where I have most of my dark circles. And I want it to be bright in here. So I do usually always bring my concealer down into this area here because I like this place in here to be kind of bright. And then I do hollow again. I get a little bit more dark hollowing right here in the outskirts of my eye as well. Not going to worry. I mean, I naturally kind of end up kind of doing this, but I do have a sort of primer that I do love also for mature eyes that I use to prime my eyelid area and really the whole area in here. It's also a fabulous color corrector, so I even, you know, go into this a little bit more after my concealer that I do love. So mostly I'm really concentrating my concealer in this area. And then right in here, bringing it down to brighten up this area right here. And then back in through this way. I do have freckling that I have under my eyes, sun damage, that I don't look again to completely eradicate that. I would have to use too much to do that. If I'm still a little pink right through here, I'll add just a little bit. I don't think it's too awful bad when I use this particular foundation, but say a foundation isn't giving me even the coverage that I shoot for, then I have still, you know, a little bit of that pinking that happens kind of right through there. So I'll use this concealer and tap it in right through here. I have broken capillaries. That's also sun damage. And also there's other triggers that lead to broken capillaries. But for the most part, it's part of aging. So I do have some right through here. So if my foundation's not doing the trick, I real quickly, doesn't take long, take my concealer over these areas as well. Maybe I'll bring it over here and just kind of tap it in. I always have red marks right here, and that's because my glasses sit there. I'm wearing my glasses, so I'm not too concerned of it. It's gonna end up doing that anyway. So I haven't used this in a while. I thought it would be fun to use the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox palette today. This is such a wonderful value. I mean, this is really sort of a full face palette. You know, once you get this done, you can contour with this, and it does depend on your skin tone, no doubt. But even with that, I'm thinking there's probably something for everyone when it comes to contouring, highlighting, you know, creating just a whole face. There's colors in here that you could even use for blush. Now, I just want to make it clear, these are all technically eyeshadows, but I think that's just a marketing thing, to be honest. You can use eyeshadows for your blush. You can use your eyeshadows for your contour, as long as your palette kind of gives you those options. And this one definitely does. Before I do my eyes, I am going to contour a little bit. And I think really when you have mature skin and you get past 50, you would be surprised how contouring, just a little bit of contouring, how it really becomes the main feature of how beautiful your look is at the end. It's all about really going light with it. For daytime, you have to go light anyway, but it is powerful. It really is powerful. And then you don't have to use so much
for anything else. You don't have to go very heavy at all with your blush. I prefer kind of more softness throughout my whole look, and then popping and doing something really nice with my eyes. Today I'm going to go soft all over. I don't feel like going crazy with my eyes, but I'm going to show you something that I do often to still give my eyes some pop, even when I'm not going to, you know, really go crazy. But contouring really will accent those features that you have, and it can diminish the ones that we all try to diminish. You know, we want a little more cheekbone, you know, but I think honestly the contouring is the key and the secret to a lot of my looks and finished looks that you guys love so much, is that when you're done, you just have a really soft, natural, pretty look that accents your features. And I think really when you get over 50, you know, that's sort of the magic key, I think. I love using this brush for contouring. This is BK Beauty's 110. And I found in this palette, I have a couple options for contouring. I am fair, but I have to be careful because if I do something that's too ashy, a little bit too gray, then it just looks like I have dirty skin. Like it's not a good natural look for a contour. So in the past I have used this one. It ends up being okay, but it's a little too gray. So I am actually, you got to use something matte. So you can't use anything that's frosty or satiny for your contour. I'm going to actually use this one here for my contour. It's a lot lighter than what I normally choose, but I find that it works pretty well. And again, we're not contouring for the evening, we're contouring for daytime. This isn't a tutorial, so I'm just quickly gonna do this. I do have a pretty tall forehead, so I do like to kind of contour it here and then just kind of leave sort of this center brightness to my face. So I bring it in here, and then I really like to bring it out into my hair. I haven't been wearing helper hair lately at all, and so today I am going to do that. I always feel so put together when I do wear my helper hair, I have to say. I mean, how can you not, you know? I use the same brush lately, I have anyways, to contour my nose. And I like to just, it doesn't take long to contour, you guys. It always seems like it takes me forever because I sit here and talk with you guys, and if it's a, you know, a tutorial, I take my time and explain the whys and the hows and all of that. So, but honestly, it doesn't really, it's not so much a precision, like you'd be surprised how fast you can contour, and yet I feel like contouring is one of the most, like I was mentioning, is really underrated for mature women. I love using this big, huge, gigantic, it's almost like a big kabuki brush. This is, what do we got here? This is 105, and I like to use it softly to just now soften everything that I just did. And again, blending after each application, no matter what it is truly, I swear it is the key. If you went away with nothing from any of my videos, if you blend out every single application, and again, it's seconds, that will go a long way to you really loving your end product and it being a really sort of professional look. Selena Gomez Rare Beauty Primer is so nice for mature eyes. Not all primers are great for mature, crepey eye tissue. And I love this one. I put it on, you know, I'm not super, I would do this, by the way. I would definitely do this before I just contoured right there. I just kind of got ahead of myself. That's okay. I put this on, I'm not shy with it. And then I don't technically blend it. I just sort of tap it in, kind of press it in. Really concentrating right through here. I use the same brush that I absolutely love for anything around the eyes. This will be definitely on my list for my favorite finds. This brush here. There's not a day that I don't use it, so that tells me something. You know, I kind of change up my makeup brushes. This one is definitely a grab. Now I have a great surface. A bit of color correcting. My eyeshadow is going to last through the day, no creasing. Beautiful. Okay. I like to brighten right through here, and I like to keep it bright all the way. So I like using, what am I going to use in this one? Let me see what this, I can't remember. Do I usually, that's silvery, but it's pretty. That's pretty. So I'm going to go in with this one here. Pull my tissue back with the front part that doesn't have any product on it. Well, the back part, technically. I'm going to just kind of drag it through my crepiness as I straighten out the tissue there to do that. And I'm going to do that on the other side too. So I'm going to do that. Really stretch out that crepiness and then lay it down, and I kind of bring it up right through there. See if I got the same amount basically on both sides. And I think I do. Then I'm going to grab my sort of cheater blending brush. That's what I use this for anyway. This is 201. It's got a nice long handle on it. And I just like to sort of flick any extra out of the way and blend it. All right, all right. And yes, that color that we just did is, you know, kind of frosty, and that does bring that crepiness to the forefront, but I'm not ready to give those up, and I don't care. I still really like using those kind of chromatic, chromy or frosty, or that wet sort of look that you get with those kinds of shadows. I still am not ready to tap out. There will be a time when I probably will, but it's not quite yet, even though I have quite a bit of crepiness going on there. Actually, I think I'm going to go in with this one here. Yes. A503, and I'm going to knock it off really well. And I'm actually going to start it right here on the lid. I'm not going to go in where we just brighten that up, but I am going to go in a bit higher than that. And I'm going to tap it in, really press it exactly where I want it. I'm going to tap it upward just to make sure that I'm putting that pigment right to the lash line, because there is a little bit of that tissue does drop below that sort of lash line as we age. So I'm going to make sure there's not going to be a gap there. So I'm just really lightly just sort of making sure that I'm pressing it really close to the lash line. I'm also making sure that I'm not bringing it too far out here. That'll just bring everything down. So we're going to just do that. And then I'm going to sort of work it up into the front part of my brow right through here, and then bring it down this way over, just to do a little bit extra contouring there, because I'm a tiny bit too broad here for me. And so I like to kind of make this a little less broad. So, and we did kind of go over that bit of contouring that I did with the other color. when I did my primer there. So I'm just going to do that. And then now that I have very little pigment on here, and even if you do have some, you can wipe it off on a towel or a napkin down there. So that way you can just make this much softer. And then we're gonna do the other eye. So I'm gonna do the other eye now. Tapping. I don't like doing my eyebrows until I'm completely done with my eyes. This is a really pretty color, really. I'm gonna just add a little bit more intensity with it. It is a tiny, it's not completely matte, but that's okay. It's not over the top, so it works really just great, I think, for this. All right, I'm gonna wipe that off. Again, I'm gonna take my blender and just soften the top, the side, just soften this. I don't necessarily want to go over the whole thing, but definitely the edges. I am going to definitely do that. All right, I am going to use that same color that we just used, and I'm going to put it underneath the lower lash line. I'm going to look at this more of, again, contouring than a nice skinny line underneath my lower lash line. This is A503. This is a good one for this because, again, I'm not looking for precision necessarily. I want to contour with this. So I'm going to go into that same color we just used. I'm going to knock that off. I'm going to hope that my camera will not focus on the mirror and blur what I'm doing out. Cross our fingers. It's because I sit pretty close to my camera. And I am... Wow, I have a lot of fallout right here of that sparkly color that we did. And I don't want that happening. Hard. I wish I had a mirror right there so I can do this. So I'm going to try to do this looking in a regular mirror. This is a 5x mirror I got here. And when I work with my eyes, I definitely have to use a 5x mirror. But you're going to take this down probably a little farther. I always say this, but you're going to take this down a little farther than you may feel comfortable with. Because if I didn't do this, because I'm going to put a really deep coal black sort of liner up here using eyeshadow, which again is a wonderful hack if you're got crepey tissue and pencils are out of the question these days. So if I didn't do this, I would have that and my eyes would look kind of beady, and this kind of, believe it or not, sort of opens that up, and that's what we want. Soften with this brush. I don't know why I grabbed this brush, to be honest, but again, I'm just going to soften that lower line with this. So we are now going to create a really pretty thick upper liner line with this color. And it's going to feel scary, but it does not have to feel scary. If you have the right brush for this, it's going to take away all of the fear and make it super easy to do. So I'm going to show you my favorite for this. This one from BK Beauty, amazing. It's 204. I also have this one. And I also have another one, actually. This is e.l.f. And I believe 2 or 3 came in one pack. Very reasonable. And I use them all the time. I'm trying to find the other one, which is really packed in here, which is technically what I probably should be using. Why can't I find it? Well, I can't find the other one. Both work really well because these are stiff and they just really let you get where you need to be. And if you're doing what I'm doing, you need to have a bit of control. So I actually think I'll use this e.l.f. one. I'm going to go ahead and load this up. Going to have to knock this off really well. We're going to try to deal with fallout the best we can. Knock it off real well. And now we are going to pack this. We aren't going to flick it. or expect us to just drag it. We are literally going to pack this along, because if you have crepey eye tissue, it is very hard if you don't do this. So, all right, so the other thing is I want to get real close to my lash line, but you would be surprised at how thick we're going to go, because if you're like me, when you open your eye, you can barely see a thin liner line, you know, and I want to see this. So I really have to make it kind of thick, because when I lift the tissue, it's going to drop back down, even if it's just the littlest bit. So you'd be surprised at how thick I got to go with this technique to really see what I'm trying to create here. So again, I'm going to reload, and I'm going to lift and be real careful. I really am concerned about fallout here. And I also want to be careful of how far out I go with this. I can go up pretty far, which I tend to do because I just like that look, and it's fairly unnoticeable when, again, I'm just opening my eye. But I just don't want to bring this down here too low. So what I do is I really exaggerate this at about this point to go up this way. So when the eyes close, it looks closed and lifted. It looks like it's a bit much. But when I'm natural and when I have my mascara on, it just looks like really nicely applied liner that actually is eyeshadow. And it's, you know, looks a bit much again, you know, when you do this. So let's do this eye. Now, don't forget, we're going to soften this. We're going to soften it. I usually stop it right at my natural crease here where this bone is. That's where I stop it. I don't bring it up any higher than that for, I don't know, me personally. And I want to make sure I have, yeah, I would say they look pigment-wise. I got the same intensity on both sides. So now I'm going to take that blender brush. So I'm going to take that now, and I'm going to really kind of concentrate on this upper line and back in here. I want this to be soft there. I don't care that I don't do it here, but I do want this part, this upper part, and this back end to be just sort of like really soft, and let it blend right on out right there. Then I'm going to curl my eyelashes, and then I'm going to tight line with a very creamy coal black pencil. I love this. This is by Essence. It's an Essence Longwear. This is black. I love it because this is small up here, and you can roll it down or you can roll it up, and it's really inexpensive, and I do like it. Will it transfer? Oh yeah, they all transfer. I mean, I still want to sort of practice with different gel ones that you can use, that you need like a little brush to put on. I hear those do the best when it comes to transference down there, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. Anyway, I just want to put this right here in the tight line. I want to scrub it up into the lash line there because I don't want to see a gap when I open my eyes at all. I want it all to be this black. I'm also going to stop right where my lashes kind of stop right there, because the more I bring it in, I do like that look, and there are looks that I do that, but for the most part for daily wear, I find that if we avoid that, then we don't get this goopiness that kind of settles there in the corner of the eye. All right, I'm going to apply my favorite mascara currently, which is the Lancome Lash Idol. This is, I think, the only offer black. So I'm going to do my eyelashes, and then I will be right back with you. I like to kind of comb out, brush out any powders, foundation, whatnot. First, for some reason, I can't find my $1 billion brow powder that I generally use for this. So I have been actually being really careful about using this, but I've been using my fill-in powder that I've been using. It's a root powder that I use for, you know, when I use helper hair. So the trick with this is you have to go really easy with this, because it also has this feature where it will sort of build up your little hairs as well. And we don't want too much of that going on with our brows. I have overdone it before. I've gotten in the car, put down and, you know, the thing, and looked into the mirror and went, holy cow, that's too much. This is not good. So I have found that I really have to be careful, and less is best when it comes to if you like doing this. Now, these are waterproof, which is great. So just like a brow powder, wonderful. When I do use this with helper hair, at least I have a continuity going on, you know, great. But again, you just have to be careful. It comes off just as easy. I double cleanse my skin at night. So I use an oil cleanser at first and a makeup remover first before I do my oil cleanser. So I use, you know, which happens to be oil as well. I've been using a Rhonda Allison one to remove my eye makeup, and it's an oil sort of cleanser as well. And it comes off beautifully. So I always have to soften it with the spoolie again. Really soften that. This eyebrow here is so much less sparse. It's got a lot more missing brows where I wish they weren't. So it's become trickier and trickier, and it's not going to be too far before I'm going to actually have to start using an eyebrow pencil. And I'm not going to get away with too much more of this. It's pretty good. Sometimes I spend more time here with my brows than others. Sometimes I really struggle and I'm just so ticked off and my brows don't look good all day. Sometimes it's so easy and it's like, wow, they turned out great. I think you can relate, you know, when you kind of have to do a little bit of crafting to get them to look okay. The last thing that I do is I do use the Patrick Ta. This is the lamination brow gel, I believe is what it's called. And I love this brow gel. I'm getting a little low, I think. So this does seal everything right in. So everything's got to be good before I go to this point. And I also have to be careful because I don't want to wipe anything away that I just did, especially on this left brow of mine. This brow is so much easier to deal with over here. I've got brows where I want them. Everything's great, but boy, that left side is tricky. You know, they're not twins, they're sisters. We hear that a lot, and it's so true. All right, blush. I'm gonna grab one right here in the Stone Cold Fox. They're supposed to be eyeshadows, but I'm gonna go ahead and use them as a blush. This is the row that, this row is great for blushes here. So I think I'm gonna jump up to right here in the middle, and that's the blush that I'm gonna use. So yeah, we have the soft contouring going on, but I still gotta have a little bit of color, and I do like to keep it little. And when I get my hair on, you know, it all comes together. But yeah, I don't like to go crazy with my blush. I don't like to use my blush as the contour piece. I'm gonna grab this. This is another one that I really like. It's slightly angled. It's kind of small, and I don't know, I really like it for this. And This is 112 on the BK Beauty. So again, I'm just going to dab it right in there. It's a great size for dealing with a pan this size. And I am going to knock it off. And I'm also going to just lightly touch it on my towel down here because I would rather build than put it on too much. So this is going to be a slightly different color than the contour. It's going to give me a little bit of pretty sort of mauvey pink color. And I don't like to go too far up here with it. I don't like to wing it this way. However, I will put it sort of up here just to give me some really nice cohesiveness. And I like to also sort of run it over the bridge of my nose there. Put it here right on top of my chin, again, for more of that cohesive look. And I'm going to bring it down a little lower than where I put that contour. I like to leave this really just sort of, for me, I like to bring it, I don't like to put a like dark color or anything right through here, whether it's a bronzer or contour or anything. I like to extend my cheekbones so it sort of gives me more of a youthful look and a brightness right through here. So I really think it probably depends on your face shape and all of that, what you decide to do when it comes to these kinds of things. Yeah. All right, so we're good there. I like to take that big kabuki brush. Again, just kind of lightly go over the top. Just soften it. The lips today I'm going to contour. I'm going to go really light on those. So where is my brush that I did set out that I do like to use for this? I must have inadvertently put it back in here. Here it is. No, that's not it. I could actually use this. I think I will. I don't ever use this for this, but it'll work great. So this is that other choice for like creating this wing here that we got going on, the eyeliner with the shadow. And this is 204. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and I'm going to use the same color that we used for the contour of this look, which was this one. And I'm going to load this up, knock it off, and touch it on my towel. So let's do that. And I'm going to contour my lips. I'm going to use the word again. This is a great hack. It is not underrated to actually use shadow for your contour, aka loosely the word lining your lips, because in essence we are contouring. There is a difference between that and using a pencil and lining your lips. We're contouring it to create an illusion, and that's what contouring is. It's the play with light, for light to sink into it and not bounce back. So this has to be matte as well. So again, I told you this wasn't going to be a tutorial, but it sure seems to be that way, huh? I want the light to sink in here. So when I put something that's a little shiny on my actual lips, it will bump that out. It will bump that out, and then it'll just sort of, the light will kind of disappear underneath it, creating a very, very understated illusion, but yet it's pretty powerful. And that's the thing, when you do things lightly and, you know, those techniques that are barely noticeable are the powerful ones. Now, I don't take this line and do it all the way under here. That gives me a look that I don't like. So about this place right here, I actually start laying it right on my actual lip. It's because I want more of a full lip here. I don't want to create more of a puppety look to have it come all the way to the edge. To me, it looks puppety. It also draws attention to marionette lines. So I do like to sort of like make it just, you know, read my mind. Soften. I'm going to wipe my ring finger off here, and I like to use it to soften that. I mean, don't be shy. Definitely soften that. Upper lip, don't do a lot of overlining here, but I'm going to go kind of straight across here I'm going to go pretty much directly on my lip line here, but where I do a tiny little bit of overlining is when I get right about here. And that's because, again, it's more noticeable for those of us who have thinner lips, especially the upper lip. Tissue drops, curls our lips into the corner of our mouth, which definitely ages us, and that's part of aging. But the littlest things that we can do take little time to just boost that up a little bit. You'd be surprised if you practice this. You know, it's pretty fun. It really is. But I am going to tuck it in at the very end there. And soften. Another reason why this is a great hack is if you have a lot of lip lines, you know, vertical lip lines, using a pencil, it would have to be very dry, but even then throughout the day they may settle in and start sort of, you know, following that lip line. It's hard to prevent that from happening. When we use eyeshadow, it really is so much better. It stays put, and it stays more through the day. If your lipsticks fade away or go away, you still have this bit of contouring that stays there. And so you have less bleeding when you use a shadow for contouring your lips instead of using a pencil. You get a softer look. And I don't care if you have big lips or small lips, just try it and experiment with how you do it, because depending on your end goal, depending on the kind of lips you have, you will intuitively, I really believe intuitively, you know what is going to look good. So experiment with this. It doesn't, again, it seems like it takes a long time because I'm talking to you guys. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Not any more time than it would be to line your lips. Okay, so this is a very, very soft contour that we did here. Sometimes, again, I use a little bit of a darker color, but the whole look is soft, so I'm keeping everything soft. Okay, so look-wise, let's see, what am I gonna use today? I think I'm gonna use... yeah, I think I'll go ahead and use this. This is Charlotte Tilbury, and this is Dance Princess, I want to say. Is that right? How would you know, right? And again, I'm not going to take this all the way to the corners. I love this, you guys. This is Tom Ford's. It's a balm, really, but it's super sparkly, and you can barely see that now because I've used it so much. It is spendy, but when this runs out, I'm totally going to ask for it again, maybe for Mother's Day or maybe Christmas. I love what this does to any lipstick that I use. It just sort of milks it out. It gives it just the right amount of this sort of sparkle without being over the top. And the diamond dusty stuff that they have around it, it's throughout the entire formula. It's just not quite as intense, but it is just gorgeous, and I love what it does. Really pretty. So that ends the look, and I'm now going to put on my helper hair, and then I will join you guys shortly. I'll be right back. Okay, this is it. This is what I came up with today. And I will let you know what this is hair-wise down below in the description area. I'm just not 100% sure. I just sort of grabbed it. I know it's a Raquel Welch wig, and I know it's in Shaded Biscuit. That I know, but it's a little too short for simmer. I'm going to have to put it down in the description. So, you know, guys, always check down below the video for all the information that you need on that video that you're watching. You'll find it there. And even if it's not a wig related video, I will always put down there what the wig is that I'm wearing in that video. And if there's more than one, I'll let you know and let you know what they are. So definitely check down there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon in the next one. Bye-bye.